I've never told anyone this ever, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Hey, welcome to my channel. If you're joining me for the first time, my name is Gabriel. Basically, this channel is dedicated to taking you along my journey of self-discovery, of improvement, and so I want to share something kind of tender with you guys. And with your permission, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. And I realize what I'm going to say probably isn't something that sounds sexy, right? For those of you that are just getting here, about a month ago, I decided to leave my real estate career of 6 years and to really launch out and to do something, more meaningful, more aligned. And so naturally, when I decided to step out, it created a big void in my life, because real estate wasn't only my job, it was my identity, it was my way of being, it was essentially my life. And so it's been about a month, and I want to tell you guys this. I've decided to start looking for a job. You became a content creator, Gabe. What the heck? You're supposed to follow your dreams and not get a job. A job is, holding you back, all of this and that. But I want you to listen to this. I got to tell you how this all started. When I was 18 years old, I made the decision to apply at a bank, right? It was my dream job. It was everything I've ever wanted to do in my life. And, by the grace of God, I got hired at my dream job. And so, some people doing some fireworks over there. And so, basically, if you guys hear some noise, I can't stop it. And I lost my microphones. But basically, I had this real vision, this dream to work at a bank and be at this prestigious place and, really become a vice president. I dreamed of that. And then over time, the reality of life really smacked me in my face. And what I realized is, I don't think I want to be a bigwig executive anymore. I think what I really want is I want to have a stable job that I find enjoyment in, that I like, that I don't mind, where I can help people, right? And so what happened is, because of all the trauma that I faced at my job, I got passed up for promotions. I got, all sorts of things, there's favoritism. And what I realized is you can't rearrange furniture in other people's house. You know what I mean? You can't, because ultimately they're the decision makers, not me. And so, first let me say this. When I decided to leave real estate, I began to be haunted by this reoccurring dream or theme of getting a job again. And the reality is, in this past month, I started thinking about what led me to this exact moment. And so when I started working at the bank, I saw all of these, I would observe how the most successful people were. The most successful people at the time were people that I saw, they were executives at the bank. They were working these high-paying jobs, and they also had businesses. I remember one executive at the bank had a gas station. And I remember that I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Mind you, I had all this trauma, with getting passed up for promotions and things like that. And so I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my real estate license. I'm no longer going to depend on one form of income. And so, what happened there was, I went, I got a degree, I got my real estate license, and I started moving on in the world, right? And so for about 3 months, I had actually met my dream. I was working a stable job, and I was making my own income on the side. And the reality is, I always remained humble. I always came to work. I always did, what I was supposed to do. But I was already kind of tired of the job anyway. And so to make a long story short, I knew that my day was going to come, right? Because one day my manager pulls me into the office and says, Gabriel, I'm leaving. And so when you have a second job like I did, you kind of rely on, certain leniencies, right? Or, benefits. And I knew the moment that I left, that he left, that I was no longer going to have, those allowances. And so he leaves, and then a new manager came in, and naturally she changed everything to her way, and I never was able to really cope with it. And so, eventually, obviously she was like, well, you got to make a choice. And I'll never forget that I get pulled into a meeting at the headquarters. They're like, Gabriel, you have a meeting at 3 o'clock at HQ. I'm like, oh no. And I already knew something was up, right, naturally. And there were the 5 executives there, and they were like, Gabriel, you have to make a choice. Either the bank or real estate. And mind you, I had failed my real estate license like 4 times, and this is the first time I'm telling this story like this. I've told this story before. But I had failed my real estate license, my real estate exam 4 times. And my initial dream was always having a stable job and having another side job so where I can bring more income, because I just kind of know my personality and how I am. And so they were like, Gabriel, you have to make a decision. And so the way I've always told this story has always been like triumphant. I stood my ground. I did what I was supposed to. And which I did, though. I did stand my ground. I told them, I said, no, I can't stop doing it, because I was making more money doing real estate. But now, 5 years later, as I leave real estate, I'm reminded that, doing this full time was not my initial dream. It was always, my first dream was content. I was working a stable job and then having a side job or a side business where I made my own money. And so this ghost has come up to the where I'm remembering this dream that I had years ago. And mind you, when I left, they made me pick. It created a lot of pain, a lot of grief, and a lot of resentment towards jobs in general. And to be honest, there's a part of me that feels I'm a little too far gone to get another job. But, and I just want to share this with you guys. But, this dream has come back. To have the stability of a job that I enjoy, that I like, and to also have additional income. Like right now, it's this content creation and creating videos and stories that are meaningful. And so I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Getting a job for me is synonymous of quitting and kind of returning to being defeated. But when I sit down and I think about what my dream was when I started, it was always to have stable income and to make additional income on the side. So with that, I'm going to tell you guys that, you have to take this as face value, whatever you get from this video. But I've started a process of really applying for jobs that are meaningful to me. I haven't given up content creation. I don't feel like I'm giving up. And mind you, I'm doing all of this and you still never know what's going to happen, right? Maybe this will take off, maybe it won't, But at the end of the day, I have to heal this part of me. And so what is my hope? My hope is really that this content creation stuff really just takes off and I can just do this full time. But in the meantime, I'm going to find a job that is going to fund my dream. And so I know it doesn't look that sexy. I know it probably is not what you guys would like to hear, but it's the reality of my life. But this time I'm going in there with intention. I'm not going to give my soul to a company. I'm not going to give up on my dreams. Rather, I'm going to use it to fund my dreams. Because you need money to do things. That's just the reality. In some ways I'm kind of scared. And in a lot of ways I don't want to do it, but it's what I'm up against right now. And so I wanted to share this with you guys. how did I get here, right? The reason I'm sitting in front of you guys today, initially, the years I did in real estate, the things I did in politics, it was all a trauma response to pain that I had felt. And so now that I'm stepping out of that pain, I feel like I'm returning. I'm asking myself the question, well, Gabriel, what did you really want? And right now that answer is, I wanted a stable income. I wanted the freedom to create and generate my own income as well. I wanted stable income, and I wanted the ability to not rely just on the income. Right now as an entrepreneur, I solely rely on what I bring in as an entrepreneur. Versus when you work at a job, you solely depend on what comes in as an entrepreneur. As an employee. But really what I've always wanted was both. And so I'm going to start applying for jobs. I haven't seen anything I really liked. I'm not sure if this is a stress response. I'm not sure how this is all going to go down, but I just wanted to share this with you guys and to be transparent with where I'm at in my journey. I still want to create content. This is like my main mission in life now, to create this community with you guys. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Let me know what you think. So the plan is now to get a job, continue doing content. And I don't know. This is the first time in my life where I don't know what the future holds for me. I don't know if I'll get a job in 2 weeks. I don't know if something will pop off here on social media. But I do know this is I have to heal something within me. I don't know. For the first time in my life, I don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, I just wanted to share this with you guys and let it be whatever it is. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. And I love you guys again. Remember to keep pushing through it. And let me know what you think about this in the comments. See you guys.